Look at Alex, look at him there, you make sure that the OPA and RAP's dispersion model doesn't even show that it's.
There's so many people there, it's probably what, 200 people there?
Let's go ahead.
Yeah, let's get started.
We're gonna go ahead and get started, everybody.
So call to order, roll call.
Call the meeting to order.
We do not have Jerica tonight. We do not have Jim tonight. You have to leave a little bit early.
Actually, no.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna wait.
So we can stay till midnight.
No, we can't. Not till midnight.
Nancy Roof.
Joe Thompson. David Rock.
Okay, the minutes, Jim did send them around. And I had added some edits, I don't know if you guys did.
I did not.
And I sent them to him, but he hasn't had a chance to deal with it, I guess. But you had pointed out that we needed to put in about the committee voted unanimously on hiring Dan Brown as our legal counsel.
Right, it needs to be more clearly spelled out, as big.
It wasn't even mentioned,
We
well,
did
it
vote,
was,
an
yeah.
individual member vote, and everybody was unanimous, they wanted to hire Dan Brown.
And he had put in, it was asked to all committee members that we use Google Documents. I'm changing it to it was suggested.
Correct.
And then the outline, he had need to set up an outline and showing how the committee went about doing the investigation. I'm changing it to need to set up an outline for the report. It's not about how we went about, it's not about us, it's for the report.
Right, yeah, so, okay.
You don't like that?
No, yeah, we
You okay
just,
with the way he had it?
yeah. My biggest concern was the vote for the attorney.
Okay, yeah, we'll get that in there.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with whatever language we wanna use on the report or investigation,
And I wanted to talk about the report outline, but I was suggesting that we start first with what do we even want in the report before we get to the outline. But we could switch that on the agenda and go to, well, I was gonna say update the legal counsel, but Jerica and, is there anything to add to it that, because Jerica and Jim don't even know what's going on?
Well, I don't pass the outline.
No, we'll come back to it. I was thinking, we can do that now. We'll leave the order the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, basically, so what has happened since our last meeting, I sent out a Google Doc, which is basically just a collaborative document, to everybody on the committee, that way we all five can access the same document and work on it at the same time. And really, right now, all we're looking at doing or trying to do is create an outline, a skeleton for the report. And I think it's gonna take some time to even have an outline finished because we're so far behind on our FOIA requests and our interviews and so I think we're still gonna need more time to just get the outline done, but really this Google Doc is just meant to be like a sandbox for us to collaboratively discuss ideas. It was just an idea. And I realized that, you know, maybe somebody doesn't want to put something out there, and then you don't have to. Like, if anyone on the committee wants to hold off on a thought or an edit or anything like that, they don't have to, you know, nobody has to brain dump right now. Yeah, the whole idea is just as a kind of sandbox for us to spitball ideas and because ultimately what's gonna end up happening is we're all gonna have to vote and approve the outline and then ultimately the report that we write, so.
Well, I was stepping back from the outline. I came up with my own list of what all needs to be in the report that would fit into an outline. how do we even know how to do an outline yet? Because we haven't decided what's going to be included in the report.
Right.
So I was
Well,
thinking that that's what we could talk about tonight.
part of the outline is at the very least going to cover everything that the resolution spells out.
The 7 questions.
The 7 questions,
Yeah.
those will each be probably 7 headings in the outline itself.
That's exactly what I thought would be our working model was.
And I'm not saying that that 7 list of questions is
Yeah, not the end of it.
exhaustive.
Yeah.
But as a start,
But like it
I'm
was,
sure
the
there'll be.
timeline would be something that we want to
Oh,
include
yeah, I
in
think
the
that,
report.
in my mind, we'll have introductions in the beginning. To be honest, I've seen some, federal reports where everyone in the group, everyone in the commission or committee personally signs off on the report. I think that'd be something nice to see on ours.
Yeah.
Um,
And then I was thinking like all written media, that we would want that as at the end of the report.
I think, at the end of the report, we'll have a works cited, it'll just be
Our
filled with
minutes and our agendas.
minutes, agendas, emails, everything that we requested,
I'm suggesting all burn permits that we were able to come up with,
yeah.
invoices,
Yeah,
interview questions and answers.
because in reality, the report's going to reference these things. And they'll either be exhibits at the end,
Yeah,
where the
lots
public
of
can turn and look and see, oh, yeah, that's,
I think it's
That
gonna be
is
a
basic
box of
fact, yeah.
things.
yeah, and so I think, everything that we have should and will be attached to our report.
And like
Or
Frank's
it'll be a-
binder,
Or it'll be a figure, a photo within the report.
yeah,
Say,
sure.
Figure A shows this. or-
Well, photos and videos of the old water plant.
Yeah,
Test results, recommendations for the future.
Yeah.
MOUs, JUAs,
everything.
all the testing on air, water, soil, complaints. Those are what I've come up with so far. It's a lot, but
That is a lot.
it's all, I think, important.
I think it should be a lot, I think we should take the time to make sure it's a good report and not, lazy. I know the question came up at the commission meeting, how long do they think it will be? I think as long as it takes. I personally don't see this ending before the end of 2024.
Yeah, I don't maybe
I don't see our report being less than 50 to 100 pages.
easily.
Especially, maybe a couple hundred pages if we include all of our attachments and everything. At least, so. I joined this committee to go big and, to get to the bottom of what's going on because I care about what's going on. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. And if it felt like a 6th grade research project, then I wouldn't be here, sitting here, because I could be doing other fun stuff right now.
Yeah, all of us.
Plus, we're not getting paid, just a reminder.
No, I agree with what you guys have said. All I will say is that's one reason we need an attorney, because the last part of this is gonna be our report. I wanna make sure he looks through there. I wanna be very careful about what's in the report, and, because I don't wanna attach something that we can't prove to somebody's
Right.
name, and now all of a sudden we go from accusation to some other gray area where, we indicted him on something or accusing him, the accusation goes to the next level. So I just wanna be cautious about what we put in there to make sure that we do not tarnish anyone's name in any way, with any innuendo or any other type. So it's their reputations, in some cases it's their business, and we've gotta be careful and keep ourselves out of civil liability for wrong fitting. So as long as we all vote on what goes in it, everybody approves it, I'm good with that. And
Should I just go into Google Docs and before the outline, start a list of what we want?
Yeah.
And anybody, and that'll give us a way to play with it.
Yeah, or you could return down to the next page, or however you need to, you could insert a horizontal line and then just start a new section. However you need to do it, it's just the same box.
yeah, my experience with Google Docs, once you get into it, and people start importing stuff, the information just flows. We're gonna get to a point where we're gonna have to start taking stuff out because it's just too much. I mean,
What do you mean?
Meaning that you'll be overwhelmed with certain volumes. 3 people are gonna have the same take on a situation.
Yeah, I'm worried about that, so then,
And we're gonna have to divest and figure out, okay, what is the version we're going with? You can't put all 3 in, one of them's gotta be
yeah,
in the report.
Even for the final.
For the final report.
Yeah,
That's what I mean, you get a lot of stuff, so you're gonna have to start dialing it down at some point. Right now, we're gonna fill it up, but you'll start whittling it down at some point.
I mean, I agree, we do have to agree in the end, but I think there still needs to be one person who's driving the thing,
Yeah,
that pulls it together.
Yeah, sure. I know Jim volunteered to do something to write out the report.
Well, I don't know what he thought he volunteered for, but it was the outline that we were talking about, not the report. That's yet to be decided.
I mean, my comment would be, there's gonna be stuff in the report probably that the 5 of us don't agree on.
Yeah,
I might wanna add something, Jim may wanna take it out, I don't know. In that case, I'll make my best argument for keeping it in, and he can make his best argument for keeping it out, it's just a hypothetical.
Sure.
But
but if we have to
In
do
the
that
case-
too many times,
it might happen a lot. In that case, the best way I think to resolve the differences is to just vote. You know, if I can persuade the 5 or the 4 of you to agree with me, then I'll try. But if you don't, then it won't get included.
I think that's fair. I think everything's open to the vote takes it, and it's in or it's not. I just think it's fair. It's our committee, and that's how we should operate.
I just hope we're not having to vote on every damn sentence in the report.
I know, I don't think that'll be the case.
No. I just, for me, I can tell you just anything, it's insinuatory and it's not factual, but I probably want to not have it in there. Just no bearing, can't prove it, why it's there, you know? But there are some things that, you know, I think we need to show what we had to look at. We couldn't come to a conclusion on it, but everybody needs to know the reason we came to our final conclusion, because this is what we had before us.
Well, in my project on what do you know, or what do we know, there are times that I'm putting in, if it's something about the BGSU connection, I might put in, had we been able to interview Carrie Fritz, we might have been able to answer this question.
In that case, you may not word it that, you may not necessarily word it that way, I mean, it could,
I am suggesting wording it that way.
well, or you could,
I want
I
people
don't-
to know that they're
right,
declining to interview has an impact on how much
Correct.
knowledge we can put together.
right, yeah, people that we asked to sit down with us and interview us, and they decline, we'll say, we reached out to this person, they declined.
But is it her, or is it her legal counsel, is it BGSU policy? That's really.
Well, it's her in the email, which I would also want to include.
Could be her in the email, but I'm just saying, it could be, she's being bound by somebody.
All we have is her word that she put in an email. Then it's a public document.
See, that's one where I just say BGSU representatives and just not put a name in there. There's no reason to put her name in there.
I think there's every reason to. I don't want to indict all the BGSU staff.
I don't wanna
She
indict her.
did it. She put it in an email. I decline.
Nancy, I'm just telling you, if you work for a boss, there's some things you can do, some things you can't do.
I've worked for a
I
boss.
can't speak for her.
I'm 77 years old. You think I haven't worked for a boss?
So you can tell me
Nancy is a boss.
exactly that this decision is hers and solely hers.
She owns it. She put it in writing.
I mean, I think at the end, like, if
We'll
we've
debate.
got emails with people's names,
Yeah, they have to be documented.
the emails are gonna come out. I mean, they're basically probably, you know, if they're not out already.
We're using emails for everything else. Why wouldn't we include that?
I just don't, I'm just not here to put anybody out there for any public display. I can't say that.
We're not
certain
putting it.
decisions.
She's the one that decided to put it in an email and to decline.
Just because you reached out to her, had you reached out to somebody else might have put it. I'm just saying.
Anybody that
Could be.
declines, I would include that in what do I know and what are the holes in the information and how could we have filled them better if somebody had agreed to interview.
Yeah, you know, we'll debate that, we don't want to get stuck on it for tonight, for Tuesday.
Okay.
But I see where you're at, we can think through it.
So where are we on the legal counsel as of tonight?
Well, on Tuesday, we presented Mr. Brown, who in my opinion is a highly qualified, very respectable attorney. We presented his biography to the city commission to approve, and it sounded like they were on board with it. He is going to get a contract to the city.
Is it his choice of the wording of a contract, or is it like all contracts are the same,
He would,
whether it's coming from Oberdorfer or him?
well,
Who chooses the contract?
Mr. Brown would draft the representation agreement
Okay,
and send that to the city. I would like to see a copy of it. I guess here, my thoughts on our presentation on Tuesday to the commission regarding Mr. Brown. I did have some concerns based on information that was new to the committee that came out Tuesday night, specifically that the way Mr. Patrizio worded that Mr. Brown essentially will be working under Mr. Patrizio, and any documents that he drafts, maybe to help us make FOIA requests or set up interviews, all that will have to get filtered basically or funneled through Frank Patrizio, the law director. That makes me feel a little iffy, the reason why is, for me, it just feels like it's maybe just one more
layer
piece
of
of red
complexity.
tape, piece of a roadblock kind of, not necessarily I'm saying that the city's trying to stop us, I certainly hope that's not the case. But it bothers me a little bit that, you know, I stuck my neck out to find Mr. Brown, who I think's a damn good lawyer. And I relied on my colleagues, who I respect their opinion a great deal, to find him. And it's my expectation that the city will respect Mr. Brown's time and not waste it. The last thing I want is Mr. Brown to come up here and meet with us or have discussions with Frank and him get bossed around and say, nah, you can't do this, nah, you can't send that, we need to change your letter, Mr. Brown. If that's the case, I would have hired I would have recommended some Pickle lawyer. Not that there's anything wrong with Pickle lawyers, but I think, you know.
Frank was very quick to jump in to let us know that only he can do subpoenas. We hadn't even brought it up. So he was right away asserting his authority. And so it does make you wonder whose lawyer is this, really?
Well, in the end, I mean, we have to accept that this lawyer is being paid for by the city of Pickle.
But even worse than that was, I can't quote him exactly, but Chris Lee made it sound like after the lawyer meets with us for meetings or whatever, that then he's gonna go back and report to the commissioners what's been said.
Which,
Do we have privacy with the lawyer or not? I know it's not attorney-client privilege, we've heard that ad nauseum,
the
but are we
attorney,
going to have some privacy
well, the attorney represents us by proxy.
by privacy, whatever that
Attorney
means?
does represent the city commission. Will we have privacy? I mean, I don't know how elaborate the reports will be to the commission. I mean, the commission has that right. I mean, you can't deny that. They are paying for, you know, the attorney, and they will expect, you know, progress reports or whatnot. Now,
Well,
are the
progress,
conversations we have with the attorney protected,
I'm okay with the progress report.
maybe, yeah.
Conversations?
The conversations we have,
I don't know about the committee, but I think if he talks to a citizen, I think that citizen should have an expectation of privacy with the attorney. I don't know about us, if we say something to him, since we are by ad hoc, part of the, through the city, I'm not sure we should have that expectation. But I think a lot of this, I'd like to meet with the attorney, and then when we meet with them in the commission chambers for the first time, we can bring up our concerns. And tell him, you know, this, and see if he's comfortable reporting out the front. Ask him, the
Right.
first conversation will be private. You know,
because if he's not, then, because in reality, after I heard that, I thought, you know,
What's the point?
what's the point? Why aren't we just using Frank? Why are we gonna waste the city's money? I'm cautiously optimistic, and we'll see how it goes. But I think these are good questions. Attorney-client privilege, you know,
And I'm,
that would extend to the commission, the city commission.
and I'd like to see the wording, the language of the contract, to see
I will get it.
how tightly is he wed to the commissioners versus us?
Well, I mean, I think, you know,
I just want to see the language of it.
yeah, we will get a copy of the contract.
He surely must be a smart enough lawyer to understand what he's getting into.
I would think so.
Yeah, based on what he's done a lot of civil work, I think he gets it, municipal work.
And so he must think he can still service.
He may pull his hat out. I have no idea how this is gonna go.
Yeah.
This is new to me. But the attorney-client privilege question, that's a great question. As far as the contract, I'll make sure we all get a copy and the committee can see that contract.
When's that happening? Once the last meeting, it was put into Paul's lap, right? He's gonna contact the attorney and handle it.
Well, I think Mr. Hummer kind of put it on Paul, but I'm gonna reach out myself and I can copy everybody on the committee on there and, you know, tell him that we wanna see a copy of the contract too.
Just curious about the timeline for the contact of the attorney and this conversation keeps going forward.
I talked to him today,
Talk to,
Mr. Brown. He's got some other matters that he's working on this week and then, he'll give me a call early next week, so. We'll get moving, hopefully this is said and done next week. That's my goal.
Okay. The next thing we've got it down here is procedures for document and FOIA requests. I can't remember just how much of all this back and forth business everybody got copied on or not. Are you aware of my request to Frank that he gave me pushback on?
yeah, because I did the similar request to Moth earlier, and he gave me the same pushback.
So he did, I gave him a number of document requests, the subject line on the one that he pushed back on was document requests financial statements. But in the request, I was actually asking for year-end financial statements for, I think it was 2010 to 2014, or 2024.
In the instance of financial statements, I could see how maybe that might be broad. If there's-
Year-end,
But
that means if I ask them for 14 years, it's 14 year-end statements.
if you want, I would recommend, we probably need to figure out which specific statements
I want all 14,
for 14 years or,
yeah,
but within the statements, you know, there might be 50 statements. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, I mean,
I get,
Don't do
maybe I don't
government
know what a
accounting.
year-end statement looks like.
yeah, I would have to see, which we could pull online, because it's public. You go to the, you know, finance department, and you could look at
Hmm.
the annual statements for a previous year, but then you could get an idea of I wanna see this, balance sheet or this income statement or how, my government accounting knowledge is clouded. It's been a lot.
Alicia, you probably have to move, because the camera's not gonna see through you. Well, where is it up? I don't know where it is.
Oh, I was just trying to rep Crazy Bone.
Then he asked me if these document requests were personal or for the committee, which I was puzzled at.
One thing I'm thinking that we should do is, we should, I think, gather all our FOIA requests as a group.
They evolve. You can't just
They-
gather them.
They will evolve, but I think we need to formalize it a little bit.
What we had, Joe and I decided, the group decided that Joe would handle the city ones and I would handle the external ones. And then that sort of broke down because Frank was talking to you about other ways to fulfill the document requests, and so you and I decided I might as well just give it directly to him. And that was our formalized.
Here's an idea I have so I would either recommend that we write a formal letter, address it to Frank, and just bullet point all the FOIA requests that we have to the city. And I think that
Well,
might
that's an
be,
email.
I would make a document, you can attach it to an email, and in the email, I would copy every commissioner, every member of the committee,
Why?
Frank, just to make sure everyone sees what we're requesting and it doesn't look personal. It's from the committee.
There's no way this looked personal. I did it just like all the other, about 4 or 5 in a row. So why was this one any different?
No, I'm not saying that what you did was wrong, but it kind of puts it out into the spotlight. When everyone is aware and everyone's copied, everyone can see what's going on, in front of the crowd, in front of everybody, what's the response gonna be? Like, are we gonna get the same response? Would you get the same response just emailing the city by yourself as you would with all of us copied on there and every commissioner and Mr. Patrizio?
You should get the same response.
Right, you would think, but if it were me, just the same way I submitted the questions for Paul, I would copy everybody on it. And once Mr. Brown's involved, I would copy him too.
Have you guys done some document requests of your own?
Yeah, but not in a while.
Have you gotten any response? And I don't think,
Not to Frank, I haven't done individual with Frank. I'm just talking about other people, other places.
external from the city.
Sure.
So all I'm saying is that I think by adding all of us and all the commissioners,
Well, and
everybody.
I've been telling you guys what I've been asking for.
Right, but I think by making the request and attaching everyone, it adds a little bit of weight to the request.
I'll consider it.
Something to think about.
Yeah, I just think, I read Frank's thing, I think he was confused that this came from you, and he was like, was this something the committee talked about, and you are speaking on behalf of the committee, wanted for these documents, or is it just something that you required?
He wants it in the minutes that the entire committee was in agreement for asking for these document requests.
Right.
Yeah.
And it maybe we vote too. Maybe we get a list of requests and we vote.
Then I'm not making document requests. I'm not gonna go through all those hoops. I'm the one that's doing most of that. And he's just putting in another layer of complexity again, and
Well,
we're allowing it.
I think we kind of have to play the game
But we're playing plenty of games.
and everybody sees it. Everybody knows, everybody's aware. I think the comments, like Joe was just saying, did the committee agree to this?
I mean, I can wait for the lawyer.
Yeah.
If we're a week or two away from the lawyer,
I'm okay,
I won't make any more until
with
he's
that.
on board.
We've been kind of in a rut since we.
I would concur with that. I would wait for the lawyer and then we talk to him and let him know what we're looking for, why we're looking for it.
Right.
He would be the guy.
Now, I still might make some external requests,
You do what you wanna do.
and I let the whole committee know.
My opinion is it would be helpful if you copy everybody on the request
Well,
document.
let's see what the lawyer advises.
Yeah.
Because we could do it, I know you were concerned about how much time that would eat up if we asked the lawyer to do it himself. But if we've got the whole wording there and just send it to him and he can just send it on,
Yeah, all you
then
need is
there's,
one
then there's hardly
letter.
any time.
All you need is one letter, and then if you do a set of requests, and then you just can edit that document, you don't need to rewrite the document.
No, all he's gotta do is point, you click
Right.
his signature line and send it on.
I mean, at the most, I think, Dan Brown, we could ask him to draft us a letter that we could then edit ourselves and update with round after round of
And then
FOIA
he'll
requests.
send it.
If he sends it, it's gonna be sent to Frank, and Frank's gonna have to send it, or process it at the city.
It's gonna go to Frank, no matter what.
Yeah, the city of Pickle, yeah, you're right. You're right.
So it's just a question of, are we gonna send it or is the lawyer sending it? But we can wait and talk to the lawyer.
In that case, yeah, you're right, I mean, why spend the money on having Dan Brown send a letter to Frank if we could do it ourselves? Maybe he could just review the letter and draft a template for
Unless he
us.
has more respect for the lawyer than he has for us. We'll wait for the lawyer.
Yep.
Moving on. Any update on Hampshire's?
That was today.
Okay.
I'll let you know. We're gonna be doing this a while, looks like, so.
This is out of order, but I did take your suggestion of adding in testimonials on the agenda, just in case we get something unexpected and that there's a spot for it that's different from public comments. I did speak to a lady today, so this is just evolving, this is fresh news for you guys, that has been concerned about her health. And she doesn't know if it's related to the burning incidents out there at the water plant, but she is concerned about it. And so I asked her if she would be willing to come and do a testimonial with us, either publicly or privately. She likes more the idea of privately. Not to prove anything, but to just tell us what her experience is and what her fears and concerns are. She knows of potentially another 2 people that would join her. So she prefers the private, so it'd be you and I, probably a couple weeks away. Maybe we could do it in similar to a breakout session. So that's in the works. We just wanna share what we've been working on.
No, I've just been working on a timeline, I've been working on going through some of these EGSU receipt or invoices
Invoices.
you brought forward to see if there's any there, all the complaints, so just trying now to put everything together, and my fact patterns are this, there's things you know, things you think you know, things you can prove, things you can't prove.
Mhm.
I'm simply putting in things I know, things I can prove. If it doesn't hit those 2 categories, and things I think I know, and trying to find a way to we can find proof. So I'm just breaking everything down into subsections so that I can say I gotta focus here, I can't get anything further here. I need to see if I can,
Now,
I can't.
I've been sharing mine as it grows. If you could share yours once in a while.
Sure,
I know it's not a final product, but maybe ours could merge somehow.
absolutely.
I may have questions that you've already got answers to.
No, I mean, some of your stuff is definitely part of my pattern and what I've seen that you put together, so.
And there's still plenty of questions in mine. I put down what I know, how I know it, and then what questions are related to it.
I will tell you the broad brush of what I have on my sheets are things I think I know and things I can't prove. That's where I find it to be. bunch of things are landing. So that's why we gotta keep reading, go through and see what we can find, but that's FOIA requests, that's interviews. That's why there's, the proof stuff's not fun, like, up, as we had a chance to talk to certain people, find certain facts, and get information, so. We are where we are because of things that flood, so.
I'm reading through, David had a chance to upload my flash drives from Rapka and from Frank on the minutes. Did you still wanna do that? I've got them with me.
Yeah, if you
And you
want
can
to
take
get
it
it, I
home
can
and
take
bring
it
it.
and I can bring it back.
Were you able to open them? Any problems?
Thank you.
Yeah. So I've been reading through all those minutes, that it starts at 2018, and I'm up to the middle of 2023. I want to focus more on following the money and also the environment. So, and then just keep plugging along on it.
So the symposium is next Wednesday, right? Okay.
And then we meet at the North Star
On Thursday.
on Thursday. And maybe we'll get Scott Smith to join us, maybe we won't. If we don't, then it's a regular meeting, just in a different location.
Yeah, if he wants to join, that'd be awesome.
I talked to the lady here this evening, and we've got this room reserved for all of August and all of September, Thursdays at 5:30. And normally I go through Christine Price, but she said it was okay, so she'll let them know. Unless you guys got more, I think that puts us down to public comments.
I kind of wanted to touch base on Tuesday. I'm gonna be honest, I walked out of the meeting Tuesday, I didn't feel great. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to watch the video. I'm gonna be honest, I feel like that was our third presentation to the city commission, and all three times, I feel like I'm walking into a firing squad. I had concerns based on the comments about Mr. Brown, hiring Mr. Brown, and how his autonomy might be limited. So that, I had those concerns, which I addressed, but it really bothered me when I got home and I see the video of what happens after I'm gone. And I'm gonna be frank with all of you, I'm gonna be blunt. There were a lot of comments on Tuesday about us not wearing protective equipment at our visit to the water treatment plant. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an engineer. I did not go to school for biology or chemistry. I studied accounting and I studied law. So I don't know. I have no idea what was burned out there, what chemicals are out there, what's in the ground out there. I have no idea. I am clueless. And I take offense to the quote, the statement that was made Tuesday night, that the fact, quote, I wrote it down, the fact that the fire committee members visited the site without wearing protective clothing shows that they did not take the risk seriously.
Speaks volumes.
I think there were a lot of quotes that were thrown out by the city commission on Tuesday night that are pretty big statements, very big assumptions. You know, who owns that property? the city of Piqua does. They had an open house. They invited kids, they invited families, come on out. Come look at the fire training facility, come look at the property. Does anybody at the city of Piqua know if that site is safe or not? I don't think they do. I don't think they do. Certainly if I was having a party in my house and I invited all of you to come in and I knew there was something wrong and I didn't tell you, and then I get mad at you guys for not wearing protective equipment, I mean, that sounds asinine. That's crazy. This is the city's property. So I had a couple more thoughts about Tuesday. I thought it was such a cluster and a disaster. Nancy and I were asked by Tom Homan if we thought we had either put our lives on the line or if we thought we were safe when we visited the site. Mr. Homan insinuated that because we did not wear any PPE that the location was safe. That's a broad assumption. This is a huge assumption, in my opinion, irresponsible to disclose at the city commission meeting on the record in public. I didn't wear any PPE because, like I said, I'm not a scientist. I have no knowledge as to what was burned out at that location, what chemicals were burned, or what chemicals were created as byproducts of the burning. And like I said, I didn't major in biology or chemistry in college, so. And I question whether, obviously studies have been done and the results of some of these studies are not great, So just because Nancy and I didn't wear a hazmat suit and masks and, steel-toed boots to the location doesn't mean that we didn't think it was not safe or safe.
We're still doing our research. We don't pop on this committee
Correct.
and immediately know everything.
Correct. This is a young committee. I know that a lot of people like to say, well, you've been doing this for 3 months, what have you found out? Well, what we find out is completely dependent, on figuring out how this committee's gonna work. That took some time. Getting a lawyer, that's taken some time. And how cooperative people wanna be. How cooperative does the city wanna be? Blocking our requests for interviews and blocking our requests for FOIA documents. I mean, it doesn't make us look bad. I mean, that's all I'm gonna say about that. The public is watching and making their own opinions. And I will point out this lovely article that I found today. My coworker dropped this on my desk at work. So Dave, did you see this article by Mr. Lutz, Bill Lutz? He ran for mayor in Troy and he worked for the city of Piqua. I can find. After serving in Bethel Township for 3 years as the first township administrator anywhere in Miami County, I had the opportunity to serve the city of Piqua as their first development program manager. Working closely with the economic development director and the city manager, I was responsible for finding and administering grant-funded activities throughout the community. So this is Mr. Lutz talking. He says, moving ahead to July, the relationship between the commission and their committee has seemed to deteriorate further. The committee again broached the subject of having their own legal counsel. The commission was not against the hiring of the committee, but the new legal counsel would work at the pleasure of the commission and not the committee. Furthermore, this counsel could not issue subpoenas or compel individuals to talk to the committee. Those would come from the law director. The discussion deteriorated further as Commissioner Thomas Homan complained that members of the committee did not wear personal protective equipment when they recently toured the city's old water treatment plant when the burnings took place. He opined There are numerous theories on the contamination of the site with reports of animals and fish dying in nearby waterways. Is that true? I don't know if that's true yet. And that by failing to wear protective equipment, the members of the committee were not taking their jobs seriously. This is an interesting take, to say the least, especially considering this volunteer committee has met every Thursday for at least 13 weeks and is putting hours of time to do their work, often in spite of the obstacles that have been put in front of them. The committee was never formed to determine the level of the contamination at the site. In fact, if the city has reason to believe that there are serious safety concerns, as the owners of the property in question, they should require visitors to wear personal protective equipment. But taking a commission-created committee on a guilt trip for not wearing personal protective equipment is weak tea for an elected official. The committee was formed for a simple reason: to answer the 7 questions in the resolution. I don't know, my advice to the city commission: choose your words carefully when we present to you. The public's watching. I don't know if a lawsuit's coming or not, but I don't know, I was pretty fired up after I watched the debacle Tuesday night. I apologize to you on behalf of the city commission because you were completely and utterly disrespected in front of everyone. And I apologize. I apologize. Well, you are owed an apology. So, those are my 2 cents on this.
That was a very good
Situation.
2 cents, and I totally appreciate your statements and reading that article.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I just got the article tonight, and who's doing it?
I've got 10 copies of it. If anybody wants to see the article, read it. I got 10 copies of it for you.
I've read it over and over, it's pretty good. Spot on.
I posted it.
Now try to be a private citizen and see what we've been put through. You guys are a selected committee and we stuck our necks out and we've been ridiculed, run through the frickin' mud, and it's time for this to stop. I want the truth. I will not stop until I get the truth. I don't care who doesn't like it, and I'm going to continue if it's just me.
And we should be on the same page to get the truth.
Be just you.
So obviously, the commission doesn't want to find the truth because they're blaming you guys for trying to find the truth. That's what you guys were picked for. And I do remember that Paul Simmons picked somebody and they wouldn't let him. I kind of feel like this was handpicked and you guys are being the scapegoats now, which if the city wouldn't have allowed battery burning to go on out there, we wouldn't be in this position. And they've said that they didn't do battery burning, but we all know that that is not true.
I wanted to make an offer
Well,
that,
this is,
okay,
we'll just be in public comment now.
Yeah.
Is there any other-
Yeah, that's fine, yeah,
I'm
thank you.
sorry.
I wanted to make an offer to the committee and pay for the first 5 hours. So you guys can have your own attorney. And a lot of citizens want to do that now, because we got to see what happened last night, and we're trying to just share documents and let the committee do their job, but it doesn't look good.
Right.
So I'm offering,
That is so generous of you. I don't know if it's logistically possible.
Because of the nature of the way the committee is set up, we are essentially just an arm of the commission. So essentially, we've had requests to pay for counsel for us, to represent us. Like Nancy said, just because of the legal nature of the committee, you would essentially be paying for the commission's lawyer, which you should.
well, we would hope that us paying for it, that it would be independent and it would be yours, but strictly just to you guys.
Right,
But I understand that might,
yeah.
and we're gonna have to probably hire a lawyer because we can't even get document requests.
It's true that, I mean, the name of the committee, I think it was pointed out Tuesday, is the Commissioners Committee on the Fire Training Facility. We are really just an offshoot of the City Commission. I mean, could citizens in the city or any group of people get together and form their own non-Pickwa committee?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And could they hire their own attorney? Absolutely.
That's what we're discussing now. This is, I mean, everybody's trying to have patience.
We're hamstrung.
Right.
But
I know, I apologize because it seems like
we feel bad for you guys, we understand.
on Tuesday,
But-
the impression was, I thought, given that we're lazy and we're not getting work done and how, how much work have you gotten done? How long do you think this will go? I think it will go as long as it takes until we get disbanded or we resign, until we're just fed up. But
Is that an option that you guys would be willing to do,
what?
to resign from?
Oh, if this,
No, wait a minute, resign from the committee, let the citizens pay for the attorney, and continue on as a separate committee?
I debate it every day.
I'm getting to that point. I told, family and friends that I'll be honest, I'm close.
I mean, you can even add more people to the committee if you
Yeah.
need to divide up work, because you guys put in a lot of hours already.
Right now, we're sticking with it, but
I'm not gonna give up yet.
we're considering all options.
Talk to that with the attorney. Bring it up to him and say, are we better off just leaving the city and doing a separate committee for just the citizens, and the citizens hire the attorney before he takes the first check from the city?
If you can find a way to legally do it, I'll match her $1,500, promise.
And because the only thing is, you can hire the attorney, if you hire the attorney, and then you get started, and you get into a little bit more, and some people at the city level doesn't like where it's going because you're getting a little too close to something, they can dismantle you anyways.
Mhm.
The attorney wouldn't be able to represent you again because he was hired by the city.
Ah.
And you wouldn't be able to take the work that you have, and right now, the only thing that you'd be giving up is 25 questions from Paul, which a deposition would take care of that.
To have a deposition, you have to file a lawsuit.
See, and there's where it all lands.
And that's fine, the citizens could file a lawsuit.
Yeah.
A lot of discovery there.
The citizens could file the lawsuit, start doing the depositions if you wanted, and then bring the information for the depositions to the committee and continue on as to where everything's going. And the committee just kind of keeps track of everything and starts piecing it all together into a timeline.
But I would say, like, as far as resigning, our committee, we're committed right now. We're
I respect that.
full steam ahead.
Yeah, I can't speak for Jerica and Jim, but, yeah, we've come too far to throw that in now.
Right, I don't wanna give up.
But no, I think what you guys, I'll be honest, like I said, I've been looking through this, what we know, what we think we know, what we can prove. To go where you guys wanna go, where we all need this to go, to find the true answers and get people in and talking.
It's gonna take a lawsuit.
It's gotta be separate and wholly and separate from, away from the city. You guys have to do it as individuals.
Yeah.
And it can be no part from the city. This is.
And I see what the commissioners were wanting to do. They were wanting to do a separate committee to try to show, as far as what happened, how they got to that point and everything. However, nobody knows, at least they claim they don't know, if anybody in the city was actually involved and how deep they were involved. And as a city manager and a law director, those are the two people that should have known what was going on.
So
Whether they did or not, if they didn't, then shame on them.
that's why we were, I think, created, was to put a wall or some separation between those individuals directly investigating themselves, the commission investigating themselves. And hey, here's some citizens, they can do this work on behalf of the commission, so we can get away from at least the appearance
Yeah.
of bias, but, now we get into this and we start finding that we can't do this, we can't talk to them, we can't, So now all the behind the scenes stuff, that nobody knew would come out, or it's starting to come out, we gotta figure out how to work those. And how some, you know, freaking, like Lincoln said, you know, plowing a field, some stumps you can plow around, some you gotta blow up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're trying to plow around these damn things, but we keep running into more of them, right?
Right.
So,
I think the commission had a good intent forming the committee, trying to be transparent. But, you know, part of the objective is to figure out where were the shortfalls at? And there were probably a lot of shortfalls at RAPCO, Ohio EPA, you know. A lot of things maybe happened that shouldn't have happened, but we'll find out, we'll find facts that back that up. But primarily, we're focused on the city of Piqua. That's what we care about, is Piqua. How can we improve Piqua going forward from what happened? And I think the new commissioners especially are genuinely curious, like, what happened? A lot of people have done their own research and they have holes in the story they want filled in.
You're being generous.
You know,
Well-
there was a tone, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
You guys got up and spoke and asked, you know, for your attorney and what have you, and gave your report. But me personally, I noticed a tone that was so offset, it was so out of balance. You speak, and it was resistance. And then the park board came up, and it was yay, yay. And typically, the commission supports all the committees and the committee members. And they select you because they put their faith in you. And I quite didn't understand that wall you hit. And to say you didn't take care of yourself or you weren't concerned, did Kevin Kringy say
No,
to you guys
No.
maybe you should wear protective?
no,
So where
Correct.
does that fault maybe lie?
correct.
If there's an equation that you guys have to think of, the city itself, you have Frank Patrizio and Paul Oberdorfer saying that you could go to that site,
Correct.
Well, they're
which
taking,
surprises me in itself.
That's the one thing that I forgot to mention is that we set this up, Frank set this up through Mr. Craney, is that his name?
Craney.
Craney, Kevin Craney.
I call her.
There was no comment extended to Nancy or I to wear PPE. We were given no
That's
instruction.
because they've taken the stance that there's nothing to be seen, everything's fine.
That's not a given, that's not a certain, everybody's
That's their attitude.
well,
But I'm just,
Then
that's
they're trying to prove it by our failure to wear protective gear.
but you acknowledge, Nancy, that were you ever asked by Kevin Craney or anyone at the city to wear PPE to the site before we visited?
They wouldn't, because they're pretending it's fine.
So you were never asked?
No,
Okay, I was not either, I'm going on record, I was never asked to wear any protective equipment, hazmat suit,
I've got my new
Boots.
sandals.
yeah, so.
so if,
I mean, and part of it, the committee, I think one of the biggest things for the committee to be finding out, and that's gonna take people from the city talking to you, telling you what went on out there, truthfully, is, you know, the biggest part is just how much cleanup does there need to be done out there to make it safe? You know, I mean,
They're
if
pretending
nobody's gonna talk to you and say, okay, this went on and this went on and this went on and stuff, okay, well then we need to really be doing some more testing, we need to do this, we need to see if there's more cleanup that needs to be taking place out there, or maybe parts of it is fine and there's only certain areas that need to be cleaned up a little better,
it's
or
okay if
something.
you're reactive,
But I mean,
instead of proactive,
mean, yeah.
it's okay.
Is it something that, you know, every few years we should come back and test to see if anything new has surfaced there from the chemicals and stuff that we should do more cleaning or, you know, and I think that's a big part of what Scott Smith will be able to show is really as far as how much cleanup does there need to be?
Every day on the news,
The cleanup is the most important part.
every single day, lithium-ion batteries are being discussed with the harmful effects of the environment, across the board, every single, and even in shows like NCIS, just this afternoon I'm watching it, and they're doing a thing on lithium, it's in the news. And it's not a good, healthy thing, but it's where we're going with our government, what they want, and this was their way to thermal runway those batteries, test them to the max, push them to the max, burn out, flash, wherever those chemicals went, that was your end result. And so, I mean, I think everybody in the community is just concerned and they want to know, is our health affected? What are we faced with?
Sorry.
They evacuated a mile
That's
square
gross.
radius in Columbus because a lithium battery caught on fire.
Yep.
So they were allowed to burn those out there for 5 or 6 years, and nobody was evacuated, nobody was
They went door to
warned.
door and evacuated and did a mile radius because it was
So
toxic.
toxic.
So they were all notified, but in Piqua, it's never toxic. Every day, we've got, I can go days and days that we shouldn't have been burning, and days of COVID, where people are wearing masks and can't breathe. Yet we're out there with 40,000 or more pound batteries, but it was never toxic, dangerous. People get to walk by, explosions happen. Did
And
we
it
have
magically disappeared.
Did we have smart EV batteries?
It all magically disappeared.
Oh, it was never toxic, so we never got a warning. That's upsetting for me. Never got a warning.
And for the public that's watching this, we have a commissioner who attends every one of our meetings. He presumably is representing the citizens of Piqua, and it's very dubious as to why this attendance continues.
Would you be willing, you have said that you're here as a citizen, but your actions and words don't match.
Well,
Because then as citizens, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I just,
I wanted to ask, but I shouldn't.
I know.
I'll drop it.
Yeah,
I know
drop it.
everybody's passionate,
Yeah,
I
I'll
just
drop it.
don't want, we're not
No,
gonna
I'm
let this
not
meeting.
mad, but I get you. And I don't think I can ask you outside. And I should do that respectfully anyways, so I'm sorry I brought that up.
Thank you for being a good example there.
You should really be concerned because don't you live on Nicklin? You live on Nicklin? That's really close to
Let's
where
not
this
even
is.
bring him into the conversation.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
I just don't want the meeting to
Burn.
get out of hand.
yeah, we don't wanna do what was
coming
already
down whichever way the wind blows. So people in Lockington were wondering where the smell came from. Jeff Lang was wondering where it came from. Chuck Sterrett, which is on Deming Road, was wondering where the smell was coming from. Hampshire Cabinetry was wondering. So it affected this whole entire area, and we don't know. If you look at wildfires, it says that the particles can stay in the air for up to 2 to 4 weeks. So where did all these toxins go to? Like I said, they just didn't magically disappear.
And when
They
you ask the
went somewhere.
commissioners, Jeff, is it safe out there? Or was it safe out there, I think was your question? At least 4 of them said that it wasn't safe and that's why they shut it down. That is not why they shut it down.
right.
The citizens brought it to the EPA's attention and the EPA pulled the plug. That is why it was shut down.
There's an article that says that the city never burned batteries out there. They wanted to get that clear, that there was a misunderstanding, that there was
Recycling.
never any batteries burned out there. That's wrong also. Everything the city has told us is a lie. Everything.
Well, I think you've got two different parts of the city. You have the commissioners. And I honestly believe that the commission before knew what the hell was going on. To start with. But now you have the commissioners, and most of them are newer and stuff, and they wanna know what went on. This is the first that they are hearing about it and stuff like we were. And they wanna know what's going on. The problem is, the city officials have it backwards. The city manager, the law director, they work for the commissioners. You know, I mean, it's not the other way around. So, you know, I mean, I have the problem that the city commissioners aren't able to like look at Paul and say, you will cooperate, you will answer questions. Frank, you will let them subpoena people if they need to.
Correct.
And if they won't, they need to be removed. Plain and simple. It's like a business, it's a corporation. You know, whatever went on, whoever knew whatever went on, nobody wants to take the blame for it and stuff. And as the board of directors, they all look at it and say, the law director and the city manager, you both were here when it went on. Unfortunately, you're the ones that are gonna go down and you're fired. Unless you wanna cooperate and help us resolve it. Plain and simple. And I understand the city employees and stuff not wanting to talk. Their life could be made a living hell.
Or they could be
I
fired.
mean, the minute anybody goes against,
Trespass.
anytime anybody says anything that the city manager doesn't like, he sicks the health department, he uses the health department to go after him.
And there could be people who would like to be
They
subject.
will, they're not scared of you.
Well,
I think they're more scared of retaliation from the city,
Oh, yeah,
because Paul Hill looks just like that.
you were gonna say something.
Well, I was just gonna say that I don't know, I think, like I said earlier, I think the commission had good intentions creating this committee. Genuinely curious, especially the new members wanting to know what happened. I don't know if, like I was saying earlier too, you know, part of the goal of the committee is to figure out what happened, what shortfalls occurred, you know, things that maybe shouldn't have happened that kind of led to this, and, you know, our goal is to find that out. And obviously, I don't know if they didn't have the foresight to see that, oh, well, you know, maybe they'll find stuff that happened that shouldn't have happened that contributed to this, and it'll get called out, and it kind of puts the commission in a tough spot. The commission's gonna get pressure from the city to, you know, because the law director, the city manager, they have to protect their employees.
Well, some may think, well, the burning stopped, so, you know, the issue's over.
Well,
But
our job's not over.
whatever went wrong, those mistakes can still be made on other projects in the city.
yeah, maybe there was a lack of oversight or something happened that led to this burning and all the public outcry, and we're not gonna get to the bottom of it unless we have the ability to say, hey, you know, this is what happened, person X didn't do Y, or, you know, and it's all gonna be based in fact, of course, but it needs to be in the report. Part of government, good government, is accountability, because
Just want to know.
Because-
too.
every dollar the government gets or spends comes from everybody in this room, or certain, I know I'm paying for it. So there's just that accountability, and I think that's what the public wants, and the more hurdles that we get as a committee, the matter, you know, you saw the article tonight, it's not a good look, that's all I'll say.
And your report should be able to show in the end. And that's why I'm not quite understanding why the city isn't working with you more, answering questions and telling you what went on, that they know of what went on and stuff. Your report should really be able to show, yes, we already know that somebody overlooked it. If you're not gonna help find out who was actually the main which it actually comes back to Warner, Nick Warner and his company. I believe it's the main one that had the lease out there. He's a tenant, you know? Make his company and every company that he was affiliated with come in and pay for the cleanup. And I don't understand why the city's not afraid to sue him. To make them come in and do the cleanup.
Good question.
That's the main thing. Who's responsible for the cleanup? Let's not even worry about who did what, who overlooked what, or whatever. We know Nick Warner brought in stuff that he was supposed to be burning.
Start with the EPA.
You know, I mean, but Nick Warner, I think the city should be filing a lawsuit against Nick Warner and his companies and go after them and name all the other companies in the discovery. You find out all the other companies and you just put them on the lawsuit and they all have to chip in and pay for the cleanup.
The city won't
That should
sue
be the
him.
ultimate
And that
goal.
doesn't work, there's federal funds
And yeah,
for
I mean,
site cleanup.
The city won't sue him because they're involved in it. The city won't sue them because their names are on it.
I would just
Paul
say,
and Frank run this town. Their names are all over this. They're doing the investigation.
I would say let's
Mhm.
not speculate too much. But
We're just passionate.
I'll speculate their names are all over it.
rightfully so.
It's a good speculation.
We have more business.
They're running the town.
Some of things.
They're responsible.
No, we,
No ifs, ands, or buts.
We were short two committee members, it's hard to get in.
I gotta go.
6:45,
So I
thanks everybody for coming.
see you at the symposium and then at North Star next Thursday.
Symposium on the 24th.
Let's all check our blood.
Thank you guys again for your
Yeah,
dedication.
thank you.
Thank you
Hit
guys.
hit the
What's
button. Whatever.
Pass that money out.
Probably use the mouse.
Probably not this year.
I'll let you do it.
But,